What's up, everybody? My name is Malik Atala, and today is my next episode in my Charles Manson series. Thank you all for tuning in. In San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district, Manson was released into a brave new world. He carried his guitar and tried to imitate the free love agenda that everybody had. There were kids from all over the country, and flower children were all up and down the street. Manson was in paradise, so he takes his guitar and plays music, some of his own compositions from prison. The kids just gravitated around him. He was very, very bright, and he spoke about things that resonated with them. He spoke about the war in Vietnam and how we should all band together and live peacefully, how we should all be one with each other. He spoke very well and had the script down. He was always truthful to them and didn't lie or snake or play no fake games. The kids felt they can learn a lot from him. He was older than they were, and they were seeking a father-like figure. Squeaky Fromm said that he was exactly what she was looking for. The women he had attracted other women and used them to entice men. And before you knew it, he had this family. He was in heaven, and he was very sharp, and he was surrounded by kids who were peace, love, and tie-dye and stoned. He found all these crazy kids running around, socked out, believing in brotherhood and sleeping with each other. The saying at that time was from Timothy Leary. He said, "Tune in and drop out." The Dropout Kids. There was this whole counterculture movement going on. They didn't believe in society, and their parents were at fault. It was a really wild time in American history. Charlie Manson collected girls and did some prostituting with them. That's one of the many ways he survived. They took care of him. He was the boss, and he ran the show. While in prison, Manson learned how to survive. Manson had been incarcerated all over the country. When he got out of Terminal Island and went to Haight-Ashbury, he was 32 years old. 17 out of those 32 years of life he spent in prisons, reformatories, and he was incarcerated all that time. He was raised up in those environments. Manson also at one time was in Mexico City doing time in prison. But while in Mexico City, before being in prison, he lived with a bullfighter, and he was teaching Charlie how to fight the bulls. The man had just come back from Spain with a woman. The woman had 3 beautiful daughters. It was a villa in Acapulco where Manson busted his head bad trying to dive off a cliff. After that, he was locked up in a little room, and they had a little parrot. They treated Charlie like he was somebody with respect, and he taught that parrot how to say motherfucker. The bullfighter was very upstanding and humble, so when Manson left and the parrot was flying up and down the halls saying that curse word, Manson always felt bad about that. Nice touch, huh? Obviously, Charles Manson had this culture that was vulnerable. He could hone in on insecurities and say calculated things to attract people. And any insecurity, Manson could smell it. He got into his schools. He got into a school bus and headed off for Los Angeles with the hopes of becoming a rock star. Susan Atkins, Lynette Fromm, Krenwinkel, and Bruner tagged along, and he soon would attract many other young women into his world. Squeaky Fromm said that LA had another side to it, junkies, and it was dirty, filthy, and vile. Not really what they expected. Hollywood makes of it what it wants out of you if you try it. Manson wanted to become a successful music recording artist and got his message out to the youth. To get his message out to the youth. He really had talent. Some of my favorite tracks from his Lie album that came after his conviction, of course, were Home Is Where You're Happy, Cease to Exist, Always Is Always Forever, Sick City, Garbage Dump, Die to Be One, and Look at Your Game Girl. Look at Your Love goes, the dancing clown upon the wall is calling all to City Hall. Your grave is mine, oh can't you see, it's your own kind to be free. So I whisper words, you come to me, the song I sing for all to see. Your past is gone, oh now I know, inside the cell, nowhere to go. Oh love, my love, look at your love. Most of these songs have an ominous, attractive, and creepy tone to them, especially Always Is Always Forever. That's one of my favorites. Manson's religion was music, and it was how he communicated to the world. He had a message. Music was his outlet. He had been quoted saying, "You sing music for $1.25 to little girls. I'm singing it for God rolls. I'm at the pinnacle of music. I'm the king, man. Can't you understand that? I live in the underworld, guy. I decide who does what and where they do it at." Manson had an overwhelming thirst for power. In prison, he dreamed of having a family of his own, and he got it. He used free sex as a powerful influence. Anyone who joined had to be broken down by intercourse. He spent a lot of time taking middle-class girls and remolding them. It was obvious what he was trying to do. He was trying to break down their ego and their pride. He had his own rhetoric and philosophies he would spout off, and the followers were like little birds with their mouths open. Feed us more. Charlie was prophetic about what would happen in the future, and I'll go into more detail about that in the Spawn Ranch episode. The counterculture was like a magnet for all these kids that Manson picked along the way. There was this girl named Catherine Scher, and she would later take the name Gypsy. She met Charlie while he was passing by, and he said, "Let's go swimming." He then looked at her and pierced her eyes and said, "This is your dream, girl. Start living it." Gypsy's parents were Jewish, and she was all alone working a job, and she said she was just anything any man that paid attention to her wanted her to be. She was an easy scoop. She would later be responsible for drawing many other girls into the family. Sandra Good was also an instrumental Manson family member. She was the youngest of 3 girls, and her father was a stockbroker in San Diego. Her mother took her to surgery when she was very little for her lungs. She had problems when she was a child, and her mother wanted, it's claimed, for the surgeries to be unsuccessful. The mother was divorcing her father, and Sandra Good was only 4 years old. Sandra attended the University of Oregon and San Francisco State College. She incidentally knew the family of Stephen K., which Stephen would later be a prosecutor in the Manson family trial, and he would later attend all parole hearings for Manson, Krenwinkel, Atkins, Watson, and Van Houten. Over 50 times he attended, arguing against their parole. His family knew Sandra Good, and they went on a date orchestrated by their parents. When Sandy met Charles Manson, she was captivated by his use of words. What impressed her most that she did not see in her own culture growing up was a strong sense of brotherhood, loyalty, honor, which struck a chord with her. Charlie said, "Word is your bond. Man's no better than his word," which he learned in prison. Charlie would later say, "I walk on my word. I live on my word. My word is my bond. For 45 years in prison, I keep my word." And Sandra Good's dad believed in those values. When Manson noticed the scars on her neck, he said, "You're strong. You're really strong. Your mother wanted you dead." Because she was in college, Manson said, "You gotta stop thinking so much. Stop trying to be what society or your parents told you you are." She would join the family and never look back. She was one of the most devoted to Manson. Charlie told her and assigned her a special job. Charlie took Sandy and said, "I'm gonna call you Blue." Charlie said, "You see the water?" She said, "Yeah." "Do you see the dead ducks, the birds and butterflies dying?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Anything that costs anything isn't worth nothing. Material objects and money." He said, "You know how much smog we got in the air?" She says, "I don't know." "Well, General Motors have been working for 100 years with planes and boats and cars." He said, "These motors are taking our air. Now you see all the DVTs and hairsprays and soaps and floor waxes, all the things that go down the drain when you shower, and they go into the water." He said, "The marine life is dying. They're killing 100 whales a day. Can you see the world through my mind? Yeah, the world is dying. And if you don't fix it, woman, there's not going to be anything left." "How do I do that? I'm just one woman." "There's only one woman, and you're her. Now fix it." "How do I? I don't care." "Do you love it?" She said, "Yes." "Well, go on your road and do it," Manson said. This is a theme that would spawn for decades even today, an association called ATWA, for air, trees, water, and animals. It all came from the Manson family, and I'll tell you more later. Next episode, Charlie tries the music business and sings. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice day.